Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm at the Tanfield Railway Steam Gala. As you can see behind me, the locos are just preparing for the first trip of the day. Hope you enjoy the ride along. My day began at Marley Hill Yard as the last few engines were brought out of the loco shed. This is Avonside Engine Company 040 Dora, the visiting guest locomotive for the event. Just ahead is Robert Stevenson and Hawthorns Limited 040 Sir Cecil A. Cochrane. It wasn't long before this loco switched tracks to bring the remaining coaches out from their storage shed. While the shunting in the yard was being completed, I headed down to Andrewshouse station to see the demonstration freight pull in behind Robert Stevenson and Hawthorn's NCB number 49. This train was the first out and had made a positioning run along the line to clear the tracks and make space for other trains for the start of the day. While number 49 was topping up water, Sir Cecil Cochrane and Dora brought the last passenger train out from the yard. This was to be my first ride down to Easttanfield station. Only a couple of minutes late, the train pulled out of Andrewshouse station with a downhill run all the way to Easttanfield station. This was a non-stop train passing straight through Causeyarch station. It was a hot summer day with great light, sky and clouds for photography. I was armed with 2 video cameras, my phone and a GoPro, which would be mostly mounted on a tripod, and I was shooting still images with a Nikon DSLR camera. After passing Causey Station and getting closer to East Tanfield, the ground drops away steeply on the right down to Causey Burn. Several old wagons coming into view indicated the approach to East Tanfield, pulling into the main platform. Andrew Barclay Sons and Co Limited, 040 Stanley, was waiting in the other platform, with a mixed passenger and freight waiting to leave. After leaving the train, I crossed the car park and headed to the public footpath which follows the railway. I stopped by the old wagons to catch Dora leave. A little further along, the railway crosses Causey Burn, which was my next photo spot. I was looking into the sun, which wasn't ideal, but caught Andrew Barclay 060 Horden and Stevenson Hawthorne's NCB number 49, crossing the bridge with the demonstration freight train, heading into East Tanfield. Ten minutes later, Stanley and Sir Cecil A. Cochrane pulled the freight back up the line. A couple of 100 yards up the line, I stopped at the first foot crossing. At 11:24, Dora headed down the hill with 3 passenger coaches. After that train, I walked another 350 yards to a viewpoint at the end of the long straight climb. Here I caught NCB number 49, hauling a mixed passenger and freight up the hill. From there, I made my way to causeyarch station. At 12:07, Hawthorne Leslie 040 number 2 and Robert Stevenson 060 Twisel passed through the station non-stop on the way to East Tanfield. I moved again to the south end of the platform, catching Horden and Dora with a 3-coach passenger train, arriving just 2 minutes late at 12:23. I boarded the train at Causey for the ride down to East Tanfield, and then I switched trains to a passenger pulled by Twisel for the ride back up to Andrewshouse. These two people are standing where I captured the trains crossing the bridge over Causey Burn. We stopped at Causey briefly. then set off again for Andrew's house. We pulled into Andrew's house right on time at 12:49. I left the train and had a short break for lunch, stopping briefly on the road bridge. Here I saw Stanley with the mixed passenger and freight arriving at Andrew's house. After lunch, I hopped onto a northbound before by Twisel, heading for Sunnyside. It was only about a mile up the line to the station. I left the train again, walking to the end of the line for a photo looking back, before quickly heading back a couple of 100 yards south on the footpath. From here, I was in time to see Sir Cecil A. Cochrane and Twisel head back south to Andrew's house. I was back at Andrew's house by 2 p.m, in time to see Sir Cecil A. Cochrane arrive with 3 coaches. I boarded this train for the ride back down to East Tanfield again. Horden and Stanley were waiting in the second platform, leaving at 2:24, heading for Causeyarch. After they left, I walked back to the bridge over Causey Burn, and 15 minutes later watched number 2 pull a 3-coach train heading north. From there I continued north to the first foot crossing, where at 3:12 Twizel came south with a mixed passenger and freight. Another short walk brought me to the second foot crossing. At 3:20, Horden and Sir Cecil A. Cochrane were working hard up the steep incline. My next stop was about halfway between the crossing and Causey Station, looking down from a wooded embankment. At 3:31, Sir Cecil A. Cochrane and Horden We're on the way back down to East Tanfield. Walking north again, I arrived at the foot crossing at the approach to Causey Station. At 3:44, Stanley and Twizel brought a mixed passenger and freight up from East Tanfield. I boarded the train here to ride back up to Andrew's house, arriving at 3:51. A few minutes later, number 2 brought the 3-coach train into Andrew's house, seen from near the road bridge looking towards the carriage shed. At 4:23, Stanley brought the mixed passenger and freight in from Sunnyside, this time viewed from the other side of the road bridge. A couple of minutes later, Twizel passed a signal box, heading north for Marley Hill Yard. I moved to the hill overlooking the yard to see the loco back around the curve to hook up to the demonstration freight. Dora was at the back of the train. The freight pulled out of the yard at 4:35, heading north to Sunnyside. Back at Andrew's house, Stanley pulled out of the station, heading south at 4:43 for its last trip to East Tanfield. At 4:53, Dora and Twizel brought the freight into Andrew's house from Sunnyside. Sir Cecil A. Cochrane and Number 2 were at the other platform with an empty passenger train. They pulled forward so Number 2 could take on water before returning to Marleyville Yard. At 5:21, Stanley and Horden pulled into Andrewshouse station with the last load of passengers.
Train terminates, all change.
At 5:32, Dora and Twizel set off down the line with the demonstration freight. They ran non-stop to East Tanfield and were the last train south for the day. I waited on the footbridge at Andrewshouse station for them to return, but gave up after they hadn't turned up 15 minutes after they were due. I packed up my gear and walked back to the car, but stopped on the stone bridge when I saw steam in the distance. I caught the pair pull into the station using my phone, and then returned to the car and set off for home. The railway had 3 great days of weather for the gala, and with the car parks full, it appeared to have been a great success. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. See you next time.